Hey guys, Glaze here. I hope everyone is having a great day so far. Today we're going to be discussing and going over a subject that I feel a lot of the time is perceived as something else that it isn't in terms of the difference between warm-up and practice. Now before we get into the fact of talking about how some players who think warm-up is practice, let's first look at what they both are to make sure it's 100% crystal clear. For this, I'm even going to look up the exact definitions of each of these words, starting with practice. According to the Oxford language, practice is the actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method as opposed to theories relating to it. This basically means that you're applying your ideas into an actual physical form by either trying them out in games or improving other things like your crosshair placement, for example. The definition of warm-up is as follows: a period or act of preparation for a match, performance, or exercise session involving gentle exercise or practice. Now I'm sure you've already noticed here that both these definitions have a little bit of a crossover really, with warm-up expressing that it also involves gentle practice, but this does not mean it is practice. I'll give you a few examples of practice within CS to improve your skills and knowledge. My first example will be demo reviewing and application. So this means watching either your own demo or even a demo of a player who you look up to and apply some things you've noticed within their gameplay or even some mistakes you keep making yourself and actually focus to fix them in your next game. This is practice as you are going to be with a goal in mind to improve a specific thing that you've noticed. Another method of practicing will be things like pre-aim maps, being able to try and improve your speed within these maps to help you understand the angles and improve things like muscle memory, for example. Other ways that also include practice will be things like KZ, utility practice, spray control, and even things like retake and execute servers. These are all different methods of practice that will help you develop. The key word in there is that it will help you develop, okay? Warming up does not help you develop as a player and improve on things in the long run, as you'll be doing the same thing every warm-up in terms of just deathmatching for like 30 minutes, for example, then going straight into pugs trying to win. If you're wanting to improve, then it is crucial you understand this difference between warm-up and practice. Now, depending what type of player you are, you may like to practice and improve in different ways, but you also should still warm up as well as practicing. I will give you an example of how a day could go for you within CS. Let's say you are playing for about 8 hours in one day and you're wanting to break this up into a schedule for improvement. The first thing I suggest you do is warm up. This is very important after you've just woken up and needing to wake both your mind and your body up ready to play. This can be any time scale really. There isn't really a specific answer of how long this should be for the warm up, as it really does depend on how long it takes for you to feel good. A great way I suggest you warm up is by first either going on CSGO Hub or aimbots and just getting to 1,000 bot kills with a variation of different weapons that you use. This should take around 10 to 20 minutes. Following this, I think you should then go into a deathmatch server for the remaining time and just warm up until you feel good and ready to play. Now after you've warmed up, what exactly can you do? Right now you can actually practice. So depending what your strengths and weaknesses are as a player, you'll be wanting to focus on different things. Let's say you struggle with things like crosshair placement and mispositioning, for example. A way to practice this can be downloading a demo that you've played recently that you thought this was a major problem in, and understanding why exactly you're dying, and also did you have to die in that exact situation, how you could have prevented it through positioning and not overextending. Then if you also notice again that your crosshair placement is off, then think about what maps you mostly struggle on in terms of understanding all of the angles and being comfortable taking fights on these maps. Workshop maps like Warmup can help with this greatly, and it is also free to use, so you don't need to go spend money on a third-party program. While I'm on topic of Warmup here, I want to make sure it's very clear that I have an opinion for these workshop maps. I think they are very good in terms of practicing aim, but I don't really like them in terms of utility practice, as they are, in my opinion, a little bit outdated. So if you're wanting to practice utility, I suggest you just download a practice config and find bits of utility through YouTube that you can practice on your offline server. Going back to the topic on hand here, however, this could be a typical day if you're a player with a decent amount of time a day dedicate to the grind of wanting to improve and be the best you can be. Warm up until you feel good, this should on average take about 30 minutes to an hour, I would say. However, this does obviously vary depending on the player and obviously how fast you're wanting to do it. Following this, write down some specific subjects you want to focus on today. This can be things like positioning, crosshair placement, utility, spray control, but the list just goes on and on. But just note down some specifics that you really want to look at for your day of practice. If you practice for a minimum of 1 hour a day with a preferred amount between 2 to 3 hours a day, that would be amazing. With the rest of the time about 4 to 5 hours depending how long your warm up and practice took you, you can spend this time playing pugs or even in team practice if you're within a team. I also want to note something very important within Team CS that you do need to do. You have to have this individual practice and team practice at the same time. You can't just stop playing individually once you've joined a team and think that it will be enough. So just to make sure it's very clear, you should do both practice and warm up within CS, but they are also very different things. If you're wanting to keep consistent and also improve, you need both of these. Practice is to actually improve and warm up is to simply get back to your current form that you're in. If you do not have a practice routine already, I strongly suggest you add one. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Until next time, guys, it's been Glaze and I'll speak to you very soon.